This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Well, obviously, we're excited to get the spring going, and we got teased a little bit with the weather early in the week, but back to reality. Still have a lot of questions to answer on the offensive side and maybe the defensive side as well, which is, I guess, to be expected when you lose the left side of your infield, Gold Glove second baseman. There's a lot of questions still to be answered, but the talent's there, especially on the mound. A little better. I'd say a little more experience there, obviously, with Division I game time and tough situations. Guys that have been through it a little bit with Wiggins and McIntyre and Smith and some of those guys, just to name a few. Morris, and then we filled in with some really good young pitchers and a couple of transfers, JUCO transfers that have done outstanding. So, just ready to get out on the field. A week from today, we'll scrimmage, whether it's inside or out. You guys are more than welcome to come to them. If we're inside, I don't know where you're going to sit or stand. Probably have to be down around the right side of that net, or behind the net, depending on if they're throwing the shot put back there, because it's a little dangerous and it's very loud. They like to scream a lot, but it's exciting to be back. We got I mean, the SEC, unbelievable this year, and it's old, and you had 4 or 5 teams in our division that are ranked way up there and are very experienced, whether they played on that team last year or not. So it's going to be an exciting year.
Hey, Dave, you've got a lot of 22, 23-year-old players on this team. I wonder, how much does the added maturity help when you've got so many new guys in the building?
It helps a lot. And not even guys that are that old. I mean, I think about Tavian Josenberger, who transferred in from Kansas. He's a junior, started both years there. He's been a real leader in the clubhouse and on the field, and I think guys gravitate to him. With Jared Wegner coming in from Creighton, really good player, really good student, very mature. Doesn't say a whole lot unless he's got something to say. I think he's excited to be here. We're glad to have him, obviously. But just having some of those guys around a little bit, I think maybe it calms some guys down, so to speak, just knowing that we've got some guys that have been through it a little bit on both sides of the ball.
Coach, how is Brady Slavens' recovery going, and do you still anticipate him being ready for opening day?
Oh, yeah, we're excited about having Brady back. I think he's got a different mindset. I think he's in really good shape. Arm's fine. He's throwing 100%, probably better than he ever has, honestly. I fielded the ball real well so far in our drills, and we've done some live at bats off pitch, and he hit one yesterday, and it was inside, and it's all on track, man. But he hit an opposite field ball about 400 and some feet, which was good to see. And it's not all about home runs, obviously, but for him to come out and really his first few live at bats in a while, he looked real comfortable.
We noticed on the roster that Oliver sent out that he's listed as an outfielder. What do you foresee for him defensively?
So what do you have him listed as?
That's what Oliver has.
Well, I never know what Oliver has on the roster. So is he listed as an outfielder?
That's what he's listed
as.
Well,
he's not an outfielder. He's first baseman. Sorry, Oliver. See, if Oliver wasn't working with football in the fall so much, he'd know all that stuff. So
I figured. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
Hey, Dave, with Smith and Tiger, those guys both, I guess, pitched out of the bullpen. I know you talked last year about making Brady a starter. What do you anticipate for those two guys?
Yeah, they could both do either or. Last year when we pulled Smith out of the rotation, he was struggling a little bit, and his bullpen showed that with some of the technology. He was fading a little bit, but I truly believe that's one reason we got to Omaha, because we rested in him, got him right. He got us there coming out of the pen. But I see Hagan as a starter. I still think it's up in the air with Tiger. I think that he could be a starter. He has incredible stuff. His velocity's up, Fastball's good. Obviously, he's got a really good breaking ball. He's got a couple of them now, worked on a couple of things. But that's still up in the air as far as, how we're going to use really those two guys, except Smith. He'll be on the mound the first weekend starting, I feel like. But there's 3 or 4 other guys that have a chance to start, but we don't know how we're going to use them yet.
Coach, at third base, you've got a couple of really good hitters kind of vying for that spot. Defensively, how good do you feel about guys like Callie and Diggs who are kind of fighting in that battle there?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of our big question marks. We feel like all those guys can hit. You got to play defense. We lost a great third baseman, and Wallace, who's super athletic with a major league plus arm, and so you just let them. You just let them battle it out, and you don't want it to be a situation when you're playing a really good hitter that doesn't field well, because then as a coach, you're thinking, okay, when do I pull him for defense, or how do I handle this? I think that there's not a lot of separation in them, really between Callie. You could go Jones, who's got super power. He's a freshman, but he's got some bat speed, and then Kendall Diggs, and there's more, but I just need one for now anyway. So we're going to let them battle it out for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and just because we start it one way doesn't mean that's the way we're going to go when conference hits 4 weeks later.
The way McIntyre came on last year, I wonder, what do you feel like his role might be?
I think he's going to be a starter. I have a lot of confidence in Will. I just feel like that, you can look at the radar guns and you can see all the power arms we have, and I think Will gets it done, and he'll pitch 90, 91, 92. He can throw it harder if he really wants to, but he also throws a really good cutter and change up, and off the field, Will doesn't say a whole lot. On the mound, he's mean, and I like that. And I would love to have Will as a starter, because that leaves a couple of those big arms in the bullpen. And to me, the second half of the season for sure, I just feel like it's going to come down to the bullpen a lot, because that's when hitters are hitting. Guys are in their groove. You kind of get what you're getting, you get what you see, but you've got to be able to close out games. And we know what we're getting from Will. It's a lot of strikes. It's a lot of confidence out there, and he's going to make the other team swing.
Talking about the bullpen, Coach, Zach Morris coming back, just having a guy like that with the experience that he got, especially in the postseason last year, how was that?
It's great having a veteran. Zach's a guy that there was definitely some interest in him professionally, as a few of the other guys here, but chose to come back, and, I think he's going to be a little bit of everything for us. He can be a guy that can start. He can be a guy that can come in the fifth and finish the game. He can come in and get a hitter out. So a lot of maturity there. Just glad he decided to come back. We've got a few other lefties, but he's the one that's really, when you take a step back, he's the one with the experience, and he's been in about as tough a situation as you could be in that second to last game in Omaha, bases loaded. Win or go home, and that's after having a bad start earlier, and we gave him the ball because we had confidence in him, and he came through and got out one of the best hitters in the country.
And then the catcher spot, looks like you returned all 3 of the catchers from the fall. I'm just curious, how you're feeling about that spot.
Well, Hudson Polk, transfer from Oklahoma. I thought he had a really good fall. He was the most consistent catcher as far as the defensive side. He actually got better as fall went on. I thought that Parker Rowland was really good early, and then, I think he got tired a little bit. That's just the way I feel. Didn't catch quite as good, but he hit pretty much all fall, and he's switch hitter. Those are the 2 guys, and those are the guys that are going to log the innings and get it done for us back there. And I just feel like that, someone will be the number 1 guy. If you're going off of fall ball, it's Polk. But I feel like that the other catcher's right on his tail. So, and Roland brings that left-handed bat. So it'll be a good 1-2 punch.
You mentioned the last time we talked to you about Tiger needed a break. How's he doing physically and everything?
Yeah, I feel like he's doing real well. He's gotten bigger, with age and conditioning, weight room and all that, but really just growing up. I mean, because, you guys see it. You see a freshman and then you see him a year or two later and you're kind of like, wow, he was a little kid when he first got here. I mean, it's kind of amazing to watch the development. But he's better. He seems to be fine. This afternoon we've got 10 pitchers are going to throw against live hitters. This is some of our hourly skill work, and he's one of them today. And we threw 10 yesterday. It was really good to see on both sides, the hitting side, the pitching side. I thought we did a really nice job, and I'm sure that'll be the case again today.
Wegner dealt with that oblique injury during the fall. Is he fully healthy now, and is there any other injury updates?
Yeah, he seems to be real healthy. He came back early. He's from Nebraska, hometown Nebraska, so he wanted to get out of the weather a little bit. Got back. He was probably back first, second of January, and some other guys started rolling in early as well. But he's been working with a lot of the pro guys are in town working out. Most of them pitchers. He's gotten some live at bats off those guys and some of our guys, or mostly our guys. But no, he's healthy, and I don't feel like anybody at this time, unless that changes. It's changed since last night. I feel like we're all healthy right now.
Hey, Dave, how do you feel about your outfield depth and both covering ground and hitting?
Yeah. So right now, Borfin would be playing right, and Josenberger in center, Wegner in left. If we started tomorrow, I feel like that, really Mason Neville would be right there to play. A lot of tools, looks the part, left, can run, throw, hit for power. He's been looking really, really good. It's like you kind of can just see a different demeanor about him. Like, okay, last fall was fall of my freshman year. I've seen it 30 sometimes, but now it's like, okay, I want to play, and so we're getting close, and so you can just see a little bit of a different look in his face. I think he's going to challenge to get out there, and there may be another guy or two. We've got some guys on the infield that if we needed to put them in the outfield, we could. So, nothing's set in stone. Last year at this time, we sat here and we pretty much told you who was going to play where. This year, it's still a work in progress, except maybe for the pitching side.
We talked a lot about like your new position players, but you have a couple of returners like Borfin and Stovall. Just kind of what are you expecting with the jump that they could possibly take going into this season?
Well, I mean, I can see it. I see it every day. I see Jace Borfin a lot more comfortable here. I think he's fed up with what's gone on as far as how much he's gotten to play and how he's played, the injuries. I think he's ready to have a big year for us. And, just the team voted him one of our captains. So he didn't even get to play last year, hardly. Once he hurt himself when he ran into that wall in a pregame drill, which is unbelievable when you talk about it. And then Peyton Stovall was also selected a captain, voted by his teammates and Zach Morris as well. And the crazy thing about that voting is that there was 3 or 4 other guys that were right there. I mean, and a couple of them were transfers. So they like each other a little bit, and they respect each other already. So that's really good to see. But I think, those guys are, both left-handed hitters. They've both been around a bunch of great players. They both went to the Cape Cod League, played on the same team, and I think they both have really good seasons for us.
Did you recruit this team to run the bases a little bit more?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we're working on it, and I always tell them, you're either a good base running team or a bad base running team. There's usually not much in between, and we need to make sure we're a good base running team. And it's not all about stealing bases. It's about going from first to third on a hard single to center, right in the center fielder's face, and making him throw the ball at third base, and you're safe, and the runner slides into second. It's about that type of baseball, and not being stupid and run ourselves out of innings and stealing when we need to, and just seeing what the other team's given us and then being able to take advantage of it, that's a good base running team, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Some of the players that I talked to said Wegner doesn't look like he's a great base runner when you just look at him, but then you get him on the base paths, and it's a little bit deceptive.
He can run, and he'll fool you. He doesn't tell you about anything. He's not going to tell you how good he can hit or how far he can hit or how fast he is. Just him. And you got to like that. He just kind of shows you. And we have a couple other guys that are maybe deceivingly quick or fast. And, it doesn't mean you can steal a base just because you can run. You got to have a little bit of feel. We got maybe the fastest guy on the team. He can steal bases, but he doesn't have a good feel for it. And, but we work on it. We probably work on base running as much as, as we can with the time that we have, but we usually finish up the day with base running, and sometimes we even start the day with base running so they know that we're serious about it.
Coach, you talked about Mason Neville. I'm just curious about Jason Jones and how you feel about him right now.
Yeah, so Jason, again, another true freshman. I think he grew up a lot over the fall. He had some good days and some bad days, and Mason the same way. Just like the year before when he was a freshman, he had a bad week or two where he didn't make much contact, and he was second guessing themselves a little bit, wondering if they're ready for this. And if you can hit our pitching, you can hit anybody's pitching in the country. It's the way we look at it. You get to see it every day. I feel like Jason's going to play a lot and help us a lot. I think he has a bright future. He's got a lot of power. I mean, he hit the hardest ball in the fall. It went 117 miles an hour off the bat. Now, he shouldn't have swung at it because his team was down 7-1. Bottom of the last inning, it was a 3-0 count. He didn't even look at me for a sign. So it wasn't really fair because the pitcher just threw it right down the middle, and he hit it 117 miles an hour and hit it halfway up that grass in left center. So it was kind of funny, actually, looking back on it. Just kind of shaking our head. But, yeah, I mean, so that tells you something right there. That's hard to do when you're 18 years old at a ball that hard.
Dave, you had one of the best second base shortstop combos the last couple of years. How do you feel about Pade's obviously a natural second baseman. How do you feel about shortstop second base combo?
Yeah, I mean, Payton's done a really good job at second. He's learned a lot. You guys saw Peyton play on the corner. You see a kid that really the first 3 quarters of the season, he was just tight, nervous, trying to impress everybody, just trying to live up to the hype. And finally we talked with him. He just said heck with it, and he let it go. And then you saw how good he was. I mean, the guy, he was probably our best hitter down the stretch, and you didn't see him move around a lot, but he's a good middle infielder. He'll make plays, and he's got range, and he can throw from all the arm slots. He turns a double play well. His pivot throws to the shortstop are accurate. His flips are good. He listens. He's done a good job. And you got John Bolton, transfer from Austin P at short, and both of our shortstops they've played a lot of baseball. Harold Cole coming from San Jack, and he played short and second last year, and probably brings the bigger bat to the shortstop. But does he bring the most consistency? In the fall, he wasn't. I just felt like Bolton was ahead of him. But they work together every day. They play catch together. They do everything together. That's the way we have them do it. They get it. They got to know each other. They got to know if you're going to flip from backhand, underhand. Are you going to flip it? They got to get to know each other, because that second base shortstop combination we've had here the last 2 years, you may never see that again at this level. Very rare. I mean, those are two guys defensively are good enough to play in the big leagues right now, fielding and throwing. But, again, it's a big question, because if you're not good through the middle, you're not going to be good. It'll get you. There's too many games. The ball's going to be there. We don't turn double play that we should turn, and the next guy hits a 2-run homer instead of being in the dugout. That's things that happen if you're not good in the middle. So if you want to win at the highest level, you got to play defense.
You mentioned earlier Hagen Smith. You see him starting opening weekend. You see McIntyre as a starter. Wiggins had a great fall. Do you feel like you have a pretty good grasp on your opening weekend rotation, or is that still kind of a work in progress?
You named 3 guys that if those 3 started opening weekend, I'm great with it. I mean, Wiggins had the best fall of all of them. I mean, you look at his numbers, and I think you did a pretty good job with it. Thanks, you educated me a little bit with that. But I knew it was good. But we didn't do anything against him. He had a great breaking ball, and you're going, really? Yeah, he had a really good breaking ball. He had a good changeup. He's already got a knack for working out of jams because he was in a lot of jams last year, and he got out of them. And that was just, but then now we're kind of seeing that guy turn the corner, and I just think that, from what we saw in the fall, unless something doesn't go good the next 3 or 4 weeks, why shouldn't he get the ball right out of the gate?
How does your depth on this year's pitching staff maybe compare to some of your previous teams?
Well, right now it's the best I've ever had. Is that honest enough for you? So that's the way I feel about it. I mean, we've got depth. But, what you see on paper, you got to get it done on the field. And but if we can figure it out, I mean, you throw in, we got transfer, we got Cody Frank, we got Adcock, who's better than ever. He's a lot better than we thought he was. I mean, he was pretty good at Ole Miss as a freshman. He was pretty good at Crowder as a sophomore, and now he's really good. And sometimes you get guys that are just hungry, and that's what it takes. And then you throw Hunter Holland out there, who's as good as any of them. I mean, he could start. Everybody, Frank's probably not a starter, but the other two are. And so we feel like we got a couple more. I mean, really, we have probably 5 or 6 guys we could start. If somebody needs a week off or somebody's fading, give them a week off. Just let them sit and watch and get ready for the next weekend. We can do that. We're not going to go crazy about it.
You guys recruited Adcock out of high school, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Borfin in who went somewhere, and you keeping the relationship with the players.
Yeah.
After they go somewhere, it seems like that's becoming even more beneficial right now.
Well, obviously, we recruited both of those kids a lot. And, one of them decided to stay home, and maybe one got a better scholarship somewhere, or they told them that we had less pitching, and they had less pitching at the time. And, that's the way people recruit. And so, but to get them back just means that we leave a good impression on them, and that when somebody calls and tells me they're going somewhere else, obviously disappointed. I might ask them, what did we do wrong, or why, or what did you like better there, just so I can figure out how to change something. But we're always nice to them. I don't want our coaches getting upset, saying anything. And I mean, it's just the way it is. You've got to learn how to accept that. And probably in this day and age, it's probably a real good practice of acting like that, because you might get them back in a year, then go somewhere and get better for a year and come help you the next year. So you never know.
Hey, on your non-conference schedule, I think you've got 7 or 8 teams that won either a regular season or a conference tournament championship last year. Did you expect it to be like that? But
Yeah.
did some of these teams surprise you, or did you schedule it that way for a reason?
We're trying to schedule RPI situations a little better. If you take care of business in the league, and probably this year more than ever, I mean, we're on the road against the number 1 ranked team in the country, the number 2, 3 ranked team in the country. We play because when you're on the road, obviously, if you beat people, it helps you more than winning at home or at a neutral site. It'll take care of itself. But the more non-conference games you can find, and you win them against teams that obviously are in the top 100 or, top 50, or they have a winning record in their league or a winning record overall, that's how they add all that up. It helps you. last year we won our non-conference games, but the teams that we played didn't do very well, and so it didn't help us. And we had a good team last year, but our RPI wasn't very good, and we had a pretty good record in league as well. It helped us, but it didn't really help us. The year before, a lot of the non-conference games that we played in 21 and we won them, those teams did really well in their leagues, and it really helped us. Then obviously we won in league play as well. That's why we had the number 1 RPI, and nobody was even close to us really. Maybe Tennessee, but last year was a little different. This year's non-conference with Vegas coming in here and some of these guys coming in here, non-conference on the road the first weekend. I know they're neutral site games, but you win those games, it's really going to help your RPI down the road when they start beating people.
Coach, the event in Arlington to open the season a couple years ago, I think Christian Franklin said it was like a College World Series to start the year. I guess what's the approach when you start the season on such a big stage?
Well, first off, what I like about it is we know we're going to play, unless we have, like 2 years ago, we almost didn't play because they were froze out and pipes were breaking and there's no water, and we moved the tournament back from Saturday to Monday, I think, and we were all just so excited to play because, COVID hit the year before. We got 16 games in, and we would have hitchhiked down there to play. And we bust down there, and we don't bust a lot of places, but it was fun, actually. We enjoyed it. And they might not know we're busting again down there and back. It'll be fun. So, whatever. But, yeah, it's a really, really nice venue. The facility it's second to none, and the big leaguers feel that way. It's 72 degrees in there, and the lights are incredible. And the field is, from the stands, it looks like it's grass, but it's turf. It's fake. And as a matter of fact, I was doing interviews with Phil, our radio guy, and it was Sunday's interview, and Phil had to stay. He couldn't, because of all these protocols. We did it over the phone, and he was up in the booth in the stadium. Kind of a funny story. And then he goes, well, man, from up here, and I've been watching, that grass just really plays great. I mean, how do you feel about, like, the surface? And I said, Phil, this is turf. He goes, you're kidding me. So he didn't even know till the third day. I guess that was Monday. And it's just a great surface, everything about it. And then, the hotel that we get to stay in is connected right there to the facility. There's food, restaurants right there. So that gives you a little bit more of a feel like being up in Nebraska, just walking around. And then, if you play the night game, and we're going to do early, you can, as a player, you can walk over with your pass and just go watch a few innings of the game that's too heady or whatever. It's just a great setup. But more than anything, we know the weather's going to be nice when we step in there, no matter what it is outside. So that's a really good feeling.
Coach?
I'm good. Keep rolling.
Roster management question for you. I think there's 40 players on the roster that Oliver sent out, and usually the limit's 35. Are you able to go up to 30? The way I was reading the rules, are you able to go up to 37 because
Who
of
told you that?
Well, I did a lot of reading.
You're telling me that you read that and figured that out. It's pretty impressive.
I think. I was hoping you could confirm it. I'm not 100% confident on it.
So you're pretty close. It's looks like we're going to get to have 36. So the way it works, you can have as many players on your roster as you want, but once it's a day before the season starts, we have to turn in a 35-man roster. Those 35s can play in a game and practice with us and do whatever. COVID situation still, like the last semester of this, we get a 36th because we have Brady Slavens, who's been here since that year. And so we would actually have 36. There's some other teams that might have 36, 37, 38 that could officially play in the game. So that's pretty good. I got to give you credit for that.
Is that because Slavens is a senior? Because, I think McIntyre and Morris were also.
Yeah, it was. It's because of where they're at in their class. Okay. Yeah. And you know what? I may be wrong. All I know is I get 36. So you know more than me. I don't know.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts.